Hey everyone, Miss Griffith here. I am here for you today with a social emotional lesson. This is going to be another read aloud, and the book that I am going to read aloud is I'm Sorry. It says it's a Mind Your Manners storybook. I'm Sorry. It is written by Maura Butterfield. So, Maura is the person who wrote the words in the book. And it's illustrated by Rachel O'Neill. So, Rachel O'Neill is the person who drew or illustrated the book. Mind your child's manners. It's important to start teaching good manners early so that they become a habit for life. The stories in the Mind Your Manners series are written to make learning good manners a positive experience. Here are some ways you can help to make it fun. Find a quiet time to look at this story together and encourage your child to join in. The rhymes make the story easy to remember. After every question, talk about what you might say or do. Ask your child for suggestions. Joining in will help them to learn. Use the pages at the end of the story to check your child to make sure they understand when it is appropriate to use good manners. Throughout the day, reward your child's good manners with plenty of praise. What naughty monkeys at the zoo! They're dropping their food and throwing it too. The monkeys don't speak, but if they could, they should say sorry for not being good. If you drop your food like the monkeys do, what should you say? Say, I'm sorry too. What noisy hippos at the zoo! They've woken the sleepy old gnu. The hippos don't speak, but if they could, they should say sorry for not being good. If you make a noisy hullabaloo, what should you say? Say, I'm sorry too. What silly penguins at the zoo! They're splashing the lions and the tigers too. The penguins don't speak, but if they could, they should say sorry for not being good. If you splash your friends when you shouldn't do, what should you say? Say, I'm sorry too. What grumpy zebras at the zoo! They're pushing in front of the kangaroo. The zebras don't speak, but if they could, they should say sorry for not being good. If you push someone like the zebras do, what should you say? Say, I'm sorry too. None of the animals in the zoo know good manners like you do. But just imagine if they could. What should they say for not being good? Sorry. What will you say? If you drop your food, what should you say? If you said, I'm sorry, you were right. If you make too much noise, what should you say? If you said, I'm sorry, you were right. If you make someone angry, what should you say? If you said, I'm sorry, you were right. If you bump into someone, what should you say? If you said, I'm sorry, you were right. So, in this story, I'm sorry, they compare the animals in the zoo to children. And they use animals at the zoo to show you what to not do and what you might want to apologize or say you're sorry for. If we go back through the book, we can review the actions that the animals took that if the children engaged in, they would apologize for. So first, the monkeys are dropping and throwing their food. If a child did that, you would certainly want to apologize and say, I'm sorry. Then the hippos are making lots of noise, very noisy. If a child were to do that, to make too much noise or be incredibly loud, they would want to say, I'm sorry. The grumpy zebras were pushing each other and they were pushing in front of the kangaroo. If a child were to push another child, that would certainly be something that they can apologize or say, I'm sorry for. None of the animals in the zoo had good manners. They were throwing food, they were dropping food, they were pushing each other, they were making lots of noise. Their actions were not positive actions, and it is important to realize that if your child or if someone takes part in those actions, they can certainly say, I'm sorry. Goodbye.